Hello everyone and welcome to Ant Biology webinar series presented to you by Translational Outcome Research Group, Department of Zoology, University of Calcutta. So we are meeting again on a very special day today. As most of us are aware of, it's 2nd October and it's the birthday of one of the greatest leader of all time, the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And let us start with a quote from him. Live as if you were to die tomorrow and learn as if you were to live forever. And ant biology celebrates this learning spirit in not only the field of biology, but also in all other disciplines that are interconnected with each other. To all our dear audience, you can post your questions in the comment and interact among yourselves. And we will share the feedback link at the end of the session in the comments. So please keep a note on that. And with that, I will request our mentor and convener, Professor N.R.A. Banerjee, Department of Zoology, University of Calcutta, to welcome our respected guest, Professor Rupendra Kumar Chattopadhay. Welcome to you, ma'am.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you, Akashina. A very warm welcome to you, Professor Chattopadhay. I have heard so much about you, and now we meet online instead of
Yes,
physically. And my
yes.
mother also sends her regards to you. She was very happy, Professor Ranjana Rai, that you're speaking on our platform. Warm welcome to all our viewers. Also, as Akashina gave a very eloquent introduction, that today is Gandhi Jayanti. But nevertheless, and biology is a platform that Akashina will briefly introduce. On Saturdays, we have experts like Professor Chattopadhay, who comes not strictly from the field of biology. And on Sundays, we have strictly people working in life sciences and the different streams of biology, elucidating the latest updates on research. But Saturdays are especially special because interconnected of or the interconnectedness of all subjects like never before has become important to students and practitioners in the field. To solve any real problems, one needs to have uh, uh, a certain amount of understanding amongst the disciplines as the world grapples with issues such as climate change, various public health issues. Culture and society needs to move closer to science and technology for any meaningful outcomes of all the practices coming together. So tonight we have a very special speaker whom Akashina will introduce. And once again, a warm welcome to you, Professor Chattopadhay, for coming on our platform. We hope to learn a lot from you. So let us listen to your talk. A very warm welcome. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Professor,
Please.
sir, yes. Professor Rupendra Kumar Chattopadhay is a former Pranesh Chandra Chatterjee Professor of History, Department of History, Presidency University. Professor Chattopadhay obtained his post-graduation degree in archaeology from Department of Archaeology, University of Calcutta, and MPhil from Delhi University, and got his doctoral degree from Bardhaman University. Prior to joining the presidency, he served as a professor of Department of Archaeology, University of Calcutta, and a curator in Archaeology and Museum Unit, Department of History of Delhi University. And he has been awarded the Visiting Fellow of Ancient India and Iran Trust, AIIT Cambridge, UK, for the year 1997 and 1998. He has substantial number of publications in various national and international journal of repute. He has done extensive field work in various parts of India throughout his academic career. His major area of specialization includes field-oriented research program, exploration and excavations, and first-hand documentation and analysis of retrieved artifacts data. And he has authored many books: Bakura, a study of its archaeological sources, the archaeology of coastal Bengal, and he has presented in numerous prestigious seminars and contributed to various book chapters. So we are extremely honored to have you, sir, in our platform, and the stage is all yours.
Should I start now?
Yes, yes, sir, the
Yeah.
stage is all yours. Yeah.
Uh, Good evening, and I have no word to express my gratitude to all officials of biology committee for inviting me to talk before you uh, on the concern issue. Certainly, uh, I'm proud for the same. It is obvious that while talking about the subject early village farming, we are trying to explore the different dimensions of early village farming.
Sir, uh, I think there are some connection issues. We will be contacting sir soon. To all our audience, please stay with us. There are some connection issues and we are trying to contact sir. So please stay with us and we will be back soon. So sir has got disconnected because of the connection and network problem. He's joining us soon. So there is a connection issue and okay, we have sir with us.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, you got
Could you hear
actually.
me?
Sir?
Could you hear me?
No, sir. Your voice is, I mean, the sound is a bit low. So,
Hello.
yes, sir.
Hello. Could you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can
You.
hear you, but the volume is a bit low. Like,
Acha. Now it is okay. Whether it is okay?
sir, still a little bit low.
Oh, oh. Actually, what is the problem? I can't. Uh, 1 minute.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Now, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now,
Okay, sir.
sorry for this interruption. It's absolutely.
Yes, sir. It's network
Yeah.
issues. It's
Yeah.
beyond our control.
Now, mm, uh, actually, while talking about the basic parameters of early village farming, which is the major objective of today's uh, lecture, the evolution of survival economy of mankind since the beginning of lithocultural phases onward, the application of science and technology in ancient India in general and Eastern India in particular is evident from various kinds of archaeological assemblage findings recorded so far. Obviously, this universal truth has manifested itself in diverse form, thereby constituting the cultural matrix that has undergone gradually changes since the prehistoric time. The stepping stones of the vast matrix can be visualized in form of prehistoric tools, pottery, bone tools, structural remains from the rudimentary village farming phases onwards, stone, metal, and terracotta objects, both household or otherwise, besides other generally found in archaeological assemblage. The interplay between the consistent attempts of exploitation of various natural resources and associated scientific and technological innovations and discoveries, which determine the nature of exploitation, has been crucial for assessing the growth and chronocultural progress of human culture and settlement. On the other hand, the relationship between the enhancement of production and the demand for consumption was duly reflected in the available archaeological data. Eastern India, like other parts of Indian subcontinent, has undergone a similar chronocultural progression so far as the settlement dynamics are concerned. Therefore, it was witnessed the growth and development of science and technology as recorded by archaeological findings, both explored and excavated. However, paucity of interdisciplinary approach in the research methodology has hindered the proper understanding of application of science and technology and its nature in changing context of human settlement. Since the first discovery of prehistoric artifact by Valentine Ball, a geologist by profession in 1960s, the antecedent of the use of prehistoric tools and associated technology in Eastern India has been well established. Subsequently, the adaptation of ceramics technology, bone tools, basketry, then leather working, lapidary, metal working, weaving, besides others, were gradually conceived within the settlement dynamic of the protohistoric and historic period. The present talk is essentially explored the interdisciplinary approach, how one could move from orthodox archaeology to the science-based archaeological device. Being an orthodox archaeologist, I never explored the more core science involved in archaeological research. However, I have tried to explore early village farming sites, some sites also excavated, and I have also tried to utilize some of the scientific analytical data for the reconstruction of the early village farming culture of Eastern India as a whole, and its bearing with that of Indian subcontinent. Before the PowerPoint presentation, I would like to brief you that that I have already mentioned in my PowerPoint. While talking about early village farming, we are trying to demonstrate the genesis of sedentary culture and the development of an agro-pastoral village economy, variously designated or labeled as Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Protohistory, black and red wire culture, particularly a ceramic tradition known as black and red wire. So BRW cultural phase, and then Neo-Chalcolithic, Ferro-Chalcolithic, that is iron and use of iron at the same time, Osteo-Chalcolithic, the presence of bone in association with copper, and absolutely Iron Age cultural phases. So all this connotation or the terms appeared in early village farming reconstruction. While talking about the distribution in eastern India, that is Bihar, Jharkhand, Bengal, and Orissa. The stratified occurrence of ground and polystone tools, which is known as Neolithic, in association with BRW, had led the bear two or three successive cultural phases, generally identified as incipient stage of early village farming without metal, that is absolutely Neolithic, uh, intermediary stage of early village farming associated with the use of copper or the conventional connotation Chalcolithic phase. Third one, the mature stage of early village farming associated with copper and initial use of iron. And then late stage of early village farming and the large scale use of iron gradually merged within the historical stages or phases. The present authors prefer to use early village farming since most cases presence of metal never formed a representative occurrence in association with the cultural assemblage so as to designate the settlement as belonging to the Chalcolithic, the presence of copper and stone, or the iron alone. However, while trying to demonstrate the distribution of early village farming sites or settlements, from where we have recorded large number of artifacts related to village society from Bihar, Chiran, Cheshire, Kotapur, Maner, Majhi, Pan, Senwar. So absolutely, it is on towards the North Bihar. And while talking about South Bihar, that is Champa, Oria, Puren, Senwar. So these are the more important site demonstrating. Taradi is another important site, very much important here. Jaffardi and Ghorakotora is the another early village farming site of Bihar. Jharkhand has similar evidence. The Barudi is a more prominent site, having enough number of artifacts related to early village farming. There are several number of explored sites in the Sanjay Valley that also give us numerous artifacts related to early village farming. While talking of West Bengal, Birbhum district has a good number of BRW or the early village farming site, that is Hattigra, Mohisdal, Bahiri, Nannur. In Bardhaman, Panduraja Dhipi is the most prominent site. Mongolkot, Bharatpur, Santaldanga is another early village farming site. While talking about Bakura, Pakhunna, Dihor, Tulchipur is a more important site. In Midnapur, Mughalmari in Tomluk, and in North Bengal, the sole BRW or the early village farming site is Bangor. While talking about Orissa, Orissa has plenty number of sites along the bank of Mahanadi, Brahmani, and Boitarani. If you go through the entire distribution of early village farming site. Today's presentation that I have prepared I'm not so articulate to present you more evidence in form of plates. However, I have tried to give some outline related to the possibility of the scope of scientific research on early village farming phase. While talking about the chronological date bracket of early village farming, Eastern India, we used to refer a period ranging from 3000 BC to around 600 BC, before the arrival of 16 Mahajanapadas or the development of historical phenomena. And as you know, when you are talking about West Bengal, we are talking about Lower Ganga Valley, and Bihar covered some parts of Middle Ganga Valley, so that upper, middle, and lower Ganga Valley that also demonstrate a similar feature so far as the early village farming settlement is concerned. Now, please go through the PowerPoint presentation. This slide that demonstrate the earliest agricultural field found at Kalimangan. So that is a very interesting and very important discovery so far as the Harappan agricultural history is concerned. Next. This is this slide shows the archaeology and other science are interdependent, as you know. Without natural science, biological science, involvement of natural science, biological science, and then physical science or chemical science, it is not at all possible to reconstruct the entire issue related to early village farming. So disciplines like environmental archaeology, geoarchaeology, bioarchaeology, anthropological archaeology, settlement archaeology, cognitive archaeology, marine archaeology, archaeobotany, archaeogeology, archaeochemistry, archaeogenetics, that is molecular archaeology, archaeological linguistics, etc., have now become a specialized area of archaeological investigation. Each of these specialized areas have made it possible to recover the past as completely as possible. So this is the area one could explore to give a new look on early village farming. Next. This is the production, food production. Actually, while talking about early village farming, then we suggest the beginning of production, beginning of village formation, consolidation of village formation. So this is essentially the existence of man in any given environment is depend on the capacity to ensure the availability of food. So while talking about prehistoric stage, humans have obtained food through extraction of wild resources. So we have plenty number of evidence related to Paleolithic movement of Paleolithic hunter-gatherer, and the terminal Pleistocene or the beginning of Holocene that absolutely changed the scenario of our lifestyle because the change of climate, the cyclic order of season that started from Holocene. And while talking about Holocene, the date of Holocene is in and around 10,000 BC. So river bank formed gradually in a bigger way, that is arable landscape, because of the reduction of ice melting water and the seasonal water bodies along the river bank, and the development of another climatic or environmental condition to expedite the availability of aquatic animals and aquatic plants along the river courses as well as the river bank. So this is the new development. Now, the scarcity of food or the changing facets of demography that ensure the another phase of development, that is reproduction, the phase of reproduction. So while talking about agriculture, it is absolutely the availability of domesticated plants. And while talking about the transition between domesticate and the wild, obviously we are trying to search for a phase for consumption of both wild crops as well as the domesticated crops. And agricultural world also included the farming economy, that is pastoralism, that is domestication of animals is another important point so far as the early village farming phase is concerned. So in one hand, food resources through domestication and cultivation of selected plants and stock raising or stock breeding. This is very much important while talking about early village farming. And the next phase, the transition of village life from evolution of new plant forms, domesticated crops, surplus of foods, and so as civilization. So that therefore Harappan civilization or the civilization of Ganga Valley, so or the civilization of Narmada Valley, these are the story referred to our protohistoric horizon or the protohistoric heritage of mankind. The rise and growth of village settlement, expansion of pastoralist and agriculture, and finally emergence of urban centers are deeply intertwined with the environmental factor. Next. This is the map clearly demonstrates the major areas of beginning of early village farming, that Indo-Iranian borderland, then Indus zone, and then west coast and the Central Indian area, and so as the Ganga Valley, that is upper Ganga, middle Ganga, and lower Ganga. So this is the wide distribution zone of the early village farming centers of Indian subcontinent. Dorian Q. Fuller, the scholar, involved in a in-depth study, scientific study on the various issues about production of plant, that is in search of domestication of wheat, barley, rice, and other cereals, varieties, number of cereals. So this map by Fuller is absolutely fascinating altogether, giving enough scope to understand the distribution pattern of early village farming, and you may look at the Eastern India here that is the another significant area contributed towards the development of plant economy or the domestication of rice. So that is a very important issue so far as the Eastern Indian development is concerned. Next. Here I have tried to demonstrate attributes of early village farming culture, that is the origin of agriculture in India, pollen analytical investigation of lake sediment, and the archaeobotanical samples from various Neolithic sites of Indian subcontinent, and the connotation that I already told you about the early village farming culture, and the stages of so-called Neolithic, then non-metallic early village farming, metallic early village farming phase, the beginning of iron, so that this is the evolution of village society, and so as village farming culture. Then the distribution of early village farming, Odisha, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Bihar, and the dominance of Iron Age sites, so the beginning of iron production. So this is another issue so far as the metal using culture is concerned. Presence of bone tools is another issue so far as the early village farming phase is concerned. So that the wide distribution of bone is another important issue. And then the last phase, early village farming, gradually merged with early village farming culture. Next. Next. That is the paleontological study in Eastern India. Really, it is a very, so far as the paleontological study is concerned, and particularly in the context of Indian subcontinent, Eastern India has very little evidence. However, we have tried to, or the geological discoveries, geologists, paleontologists have tried to do research on the fossilized component recovered from different formation, particularly Baltora formation, that is along the bank of Gandeshwari, and then Shijua formation along the bank of Tarafeni, so that the most important area that categorically yielded the fossilized form of faces of animals, elephant, carnivores, and so that bobbies and other animal fossils. Besides, and most of the fossil forms existed in the late or the terminal Pleistocene phase is also very important. While talking about Bos nomadicus, that is also dominant fossil remains recovered so far, and vertebrate fauna recovered from Mahanadi Valley is also an important issue so far as the paleontological research in Eastern India is concerned. However, here one must visualize the other dimension of such type of research in later period also. Next, this is one of the finest evidence of evidence of fossil, human fossil, hominid fossil recovered from Narmada Valley. As you know, uh, from this area, that is Hatnora. Hatnora's discovery in 1984 is important, and Hatnora is 22 kilometers northeast of Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh and lies on the north bank of the Narmada. The first one was made discovery by GSI under the leadership of Arun Sunakia, and this important evidence of hominid skull cap embedded in the basalt conglomerate horizon. So, and Parth Chauhan also explored the same area and gathered enough evidence related to Paleolithic movement of Paleolithic man in that area. Next. Archaeology is another subject that also provide enormous scope to study the relationship between man and animals and the economic importance of domesticated animals. So, with the beginning of agricultural way of life, a few animals were captured and brought for assured the subsistence economy, so that while as well as domesticated animals found in different archaeological assemblages is important. Here I must mention that the discovery of different animals, domesticated animals, horse, cattle, sheep, goat, recorded from Panduraja DP, recorded from Dihor, Wakhonna, Mongol Court, and other areas. M.K. Ghosh has contributed a lot towards the reconstruction of domesticated animals and their close association with the development of early village farming stages is very important. And here I must mention that fish, fish, another important component found in association with archaeological assemblages, and it is very unique to mention that Mongol Court also possesses the evidence of fish, that is oceanic fish, or the faunal regime of the coastal area or the ocean, Indian Ocean, so that there are plenty number of evidence of fish bone found from Mongol court is a very interesting one. Next. Archaeology and Indian archaeology is a long way of research that carried out so far, so that Indian archaeology is really benefited with the development of study of archaeology. Next. Archaeobotany is another important subject. Nowadays, we have plenty number of work carried out so far. If you go through the PowerPoint, you will get some idea how the botanical evidence that studied by a botanist, paleobotanist. In different varieties of food, that is food, medicine, or otherwise cropping pattern. Here I must mention that so far as the Eastern India is concerned, the most important work carried out by Professor Manju Banerjee of the Department of Botany and Professor Shubir Bera and Ruby Ghosh and others, they worked some of the evidence found from Pokhunna and other early village farming sites of Eastern India. So that in that case, I must mention that such type of study certainly strengthen our knowledge about the consumption of different plants and crops or cereals in Eastern India, and village farming sites and its close association with the beginning of agriculture or the incipient stage of agriculture, then the mature phase of agriculture, and so as the relationship between wild and domesticated, how the wild varieties become a part of domesticate, that is also very important issue. The most fascinating evidence found in Harappan civilization that also studied with a great care. So we have different types of records so far. Next. This presentation suggests the relationship between archaeobotany with the other study, including DNA. DNA is the latest scientific study carried out so far. So we have in India the DNA analysis is nowadays giving momentum so far as the Harappan study area is concerned. Here I must mention that Professor Vien Basant Sindhe, who worked on Farmana and Rakhi Ghari of Haryana, also carried out scientific study of DNA and get a good result. However, all these results are sometimes very tentative, need more study on the field of DNA. Andaman and Nicobar area that also studied so far as the DNA analysis is concerned. So this is also a very important field area, and it's bearing with the distribution of Paleolithic hunter-gatherer in and around. So this is the another issue so far. Next. This is demonstrating the water floating technique or the sieving, wet sieving technique. essentially for study the cropping pattern or the cereals or the plant evidence found in archaeological assemblages. Next. This is the archaeological botanical study of Eastern India that I have tried to give some viewpoint found from Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha. From Bihar, Senwar possess a good number of evidence related to botanical specimens, and Jharkhand Barudi chaired rice. So if you go through the work of Ashok, Professor Ashok Kumar Ghosh and others, Dharunisha and others, you will get some idea about the presence of crops in Barudi rice grain, carbonized rice grain during excavation. West Bengal has also similar shared rice from Mohisdal and other side. Odisha, Kushai possesses the evidence of shared bone altogether. Next, these are the evidence of shared rice found in Lauri Deva in UP that also demonstrate the early form of domesticated as well as wild rice and other type of crops. So the date is in around 8 millennium BC, and now, as you know, we have the earliest evidence of rice found at Kulli Hawa, Kunjhun, and other sites of the Middle Ganga Valley. Lauri Deba is another important site that also provide the data, and this work carried out by Birbal Shahani Paleobotany Site Center, Lucknow, particularly Saraswat work is fascinating so far as the archaeobotanical evidence of the site. Next. These are the reference to. Next. Similarly, archaeochemistry provides enough enormous scope to study archaeological assemblages, that is on the bone, how it works, fluorine test, phosphate ratios, and other to determine the relative chronology of the site, the stone analysis, soil analysis, bone analysis, and even metal or the metallurgy. Next. This is the evidence referred to in the work of Alok Kumar Kanungo, how the glass manufactured in a traditional way. So this is one of the example. Similarly, we have some other study related to wine or alcohol making features of different archaeological sites. This is also very important. If you go through the Shahaji Ki Dheri's evidence, Shahaji Ki Dheri in Swat Valley, that also produced similar types of evidence. The traditional way of chemistry. So this is very important issue. Next. Then archaeometallurgy, that is metal study, raw material procurement process, then distribution of raw materials, and the exploitation of raw material to form metal artifacts. That is another important issue so far as the early village farming settlement is concerned. So chemical analysis of variety of metal object from Chalcolithic, iron, and Harappan site, that is evident, and so that there are plenty number of work carried out so far. Next. So archaeometeorological studies in Eastern India as well as India is important. Panduraja Dhipi, Bahiri, Barudi, and other important sites of Odisha and Bihar. Here I must mention that Dr. Kumar Chattopadhay contributed a lot about the metallurgical studies of metal artifacts found in Eastern India, so that if you go through the work of Professor Dr. Chattopadhay, you will get how the copper exploited in ancient, in protohistoric Eastern India, and how the beginning of iron and then the mature phase of iron, so that copper and its alloy exploitation, copper and its alloy, uh, different types of work carried out so far, and this is also the important study area, contributed a lot towards the development of early phase farming. Next. Here I have tried to give you the use of scientific instruments in the archaeology and survey of recording, uh, mm, uh, so that this slide demonstrates the technique of surveying, the technique of field survey, technique, satellite image making, drone operation, investigation of soil analysis, buried features of structure, GPR survey. So the plenty number of scientific technique that developed to scoop up the different dimension of archaeological evidence buried under the subsoil water. Aerial photography is one of the major issue that give us enormous scope to study the entire thing. Next. So here I have tried to point it out photographic development of photographic equipment and the study of different archaeological artifacts, and then the intensification of photographic technique and its involvement with the resolution of equipments and other things. So that very important altogether. Next. Remote sensing is another important survey so far as carried out in the context of Indian subcontinent. Next. This is the process of aerial photography. So as you know, next. This is the remote sensing of Shishupalgarh is a major early historic sites of Odisha that give us enough scope to demonstrate the inside of the site from the aerial view. Next. So Chiran is a site that provide numerous data related to early village farming economy and the growth or evolution of early village society. Due to the lack of time, I am not elaborating the entire PowerPoint. I'm extremely sorry. Paddy husk impression is one of the important evidence found in the pottery wall, and this is studied in with great care, and we have some idea about the transition from from wild to domesticated cereal found in different archaeological assemblages of Chiran. Chiran in Bihar is a very rich Neolithic, Chalcolithic, or Iron Age site, continued up to early historic period. Next, Golbai Shashan or Golabai Shashan is another important early village farming settlement in the Puri district of Odisha that also demonstrates the evolution of village society and the presence of plenty number of assemblages related to early use of bone tools, stone tools, metal objects, and the consumption of wild crops, domesticated crops, consumption of wild cattle, domesticated cattle or animals. So and the exploitation of copper, extraction of copper and iron and other. So that Golabai Shashan is another important site of Eastern India, representing as a whole, so that one may get some idea how the village society exploited the different faunal, floral regime, as well as the organic and inorganic material found in archaeological assemblages. Next. Pandudaja DP is another important site so far as the West Bengal distribution of West Bengal early village farming sites is concerned. It is along the bank of Ajoy in the district of Birbhum, Bardhaman, and here one may get enough evidence the use of stone, bone, metal, copper, iron, etc., and the extraction of metal, particularly copper and iron, alloying of copper and iron, so that the use of other types of evidence related to early village farming, so that the floral wild variety of florals remains domesticated as well as wild. That is also very important issue. Burial is another important evidence found in Panduraja DP, and the study so far is really an interesting one. Several burials are discovered in period number 2. This period are characterized by BRW, microlith, blackened ground and polished stone tools, and semi-precious stone beads. Beads are another important material, or the decorative items found in the assemblage. Terracotta object is another important artifact used by early village farming population. Next. Dihor. Actually, Dihor is an important site having a long chronocultural phases. Interestingly, Dihor along the bank of the Darkeshwar, actually, while exploring and excavating the Dihor, we have found a paleo channel along the mount of Shareshwar and Shaileshwar temple sites of Dihor. Dihor is known for Shiva temple, Shareshwar and Shaileshwar temple. However, excavation at Dihor proved that it is also a very important issue, an important early village farming site that carries the evidence of metallic, then non-metallic early village farming, metallic early village farming, that is copper, and another phase of categorically dominated by iron, so that Iron Age site. Dihod is Chalcolithic, Iron Age, and early historic, early medieval, and the late medieval site. Next. This slides I have tried to demonstrate the excavated trench and the stratigraphy of Panduli, the deep of Dihod. Next. This is an unique space excavated, and I have tried to identify this space with the evidence of cow dung and other. It's a cattle pen at Dihod, so that village society that also incorporated the cattle pen, and cattle pen is widely distributed in each and every site. Fodder dump in the same area is another correlative issue. So far as the domestication of cattle is concerned, so pastoralists and agriculturalists have inhabited at Dihod, and that excavation proved that Dihod possesses the unique evidence of village society and having different types of evidence. Next. Bone points and bone tools found at Dihod, Hirapur Mount. Hirapur is one of the major mounts of Dihod. Next. This bone point, Manshatala Mount is another important mount. And the antler, that is deer horn, is another artifact found each and every early village farming site. Next. Evidence of metal objects. Antimony rod is an important issue, important artifact found in each and every early village farming site represented by Dihod. Next. Copper rings, Monshatala Mount or Hirapur Mount of Dihod, and the iron nail found at Dihod. Then next, copper arrowhead, apparatus of metalworking. Next. These are the drawings of pottery found at Dihod. Next. These are the iron objects from Dihod. Next. Copper object from Dihod. Next. Chronology of Dihod that I have told you. Early village farming, pre-metallic, metallic, and etc. So that till the period of Mallo of Vishnupur, because Dihod is very much close to Vishnupur town. Next. We have the evidence of carbon 14 dates from recorded from Dihod, and Birbal Shani Paleobotany Center that studied our evidence, and Dihod entire time range of Dihod, that is around 3000 BC to early historic phase, 100 BC, and then the early historic phase, early medieval and medieval period. Next. Here I have tried to give you more slides or the photograph of some farming artifact found in important sites of Indus Valley. Next. This is the distribution of map of the settlement of Harappan orbit. Next. This is also another map demonstrating the wide distribution of Harappan site in coastal Indian subcontinent, Gujarat, then Makran coast of Pakistan, and Afghanistan, Balochistan, the entire Harappan world. Next. This is the evidence. As you know, Mehergarh is another important, the most important site that yielded numerous evidence of crops, cereals, and others. So, therefore, it's a very important site altogether. Next, Harappan site. The conjectural view of house types of Mehergarh, the most important Harappan site, Harappan village site. Next. The house pattern and the pre-pottery Neolithic phase. So that is an important distribution of village society found at Mehergarh. Next. Barley, evidence of barley impressed on mud, sickle with charred blades, important for harvesting of different things. It's a very important evidence so far found at Mehergarh. Next. This is the burial and use of bitumen coated with basket, ornament, tools, and offerings found at the site. It's very unique as such from Mehergarh. Next. These are the antiquities, beads and ornaments of copper, Cardinian, marine shells, fired and unfired satellites, and jasper, stone drills, etc. Next. This is the very unique evidence of early Harappan house found at the site of Harappa. Then Harappan mound. Next. Next. Double burial is very important evidence. Next. Harappan civilization and the excavated site, as you know, and I hope since the constraint of time, I will definitely try to get a scope to give you another lecture on this issue. So the next slide. This is my presentation. I'm extremely sorry because of my laptop and the technical difficulties. However, with this talk, being a very orthodox archaeologist, I am trying to give some evidence related to the relationship between scientific or the multidisciplinary approach with that of early village farming. So I'm extremely sorry for all these constraints, including the technical difficulties that you have faced. However, again, I must repeat, I have tried to give an outline, not more, and I will remain grateful to the official who give me the chance to talk before you about the said issue. And if any question that you have, you may act accordingly.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful lecture. Thank you from the entire Ant Biology team and also from all our audiences. And sir, we have two questions. So, sir, can we go through them?
Yes.
So, our first question
Huh.
is from Vijay Vishwas. Is there
Huh.
any evidence available about the strategies practiced in early village farming at that time to avoid droughts or for pest management?
Yes. Although this is a very specialized subject altogether, but Harappan orbit have some work. Essentially, if you go through the work of Gurdeep Singh, carried out an extensive work in the in and around Pushkar Lake area in Rajasthan. So that and Gujarat area has also some work. It was so far as the droughts and other epidemics is concerned. And pest management is a very rare one. I don't know exactly whether such type of study is carried out so far.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your explanation. The next question is from Choitali Marik. She wants to know, are there evidences from these early village farming regions like Panduraja, Dhibi, Golabai similar or very different? Were there connections between their farming techniques and between the sites?
Uh, no, Pandura GTP is located in the upland area, whereas Golabai along the coastal Odisha. So, so far as the environment as well as geophysical bearing or the landscape is concerned, the situation is slightly different. So, Golabai Shashan exploited the local resources, both coastal resources as well as the upland Odisha's different metal and minerals. Pandura TP utilized along the riverine regimes of Ajoy, Damodar, and other areas. And it is also lying at the upland of lateritic upland of West Bengal, that is very close to Chotanagpur Plateau. So that I don't think there are some difference between the two. However, Panduraja TP exploited the floodplain of Ajoy and Damodar, whereas coastal Golabai exploited the floodplains of Mandakini and other rivers along.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your explanation. And our last question is from Shoheli, and she wants to know, can you please say, is there any significance of two skeletons in the Lothal burial site on the
Ah,
PPT
yes,
of here?
yes. This burial definitely suggests uh, a ritual of burial customs. So, if you go through the work of S.R. Rao, the excavator of Lothal, and if you go through the Lothal report, S.R. Rao given a lengthy explanation of this double burial, and tried to give a different viewpoint, including their family tradition, and the other ritualistic form of burial system that prevail in the coastal Gujarat. So that, and recently Padi, Surkutuda, and Prabhash Pathan, that also yielded similar type of evidence. I have very limited resources, so for the preparation of my PowerPoint, I'm extremely sorry. If I get the scope, I will definitely demonstrate the other evidence found in coastal Gujarat.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you so much for explaining all the audience's queries. And we are really honored to host you in our platform. And
Yes,
again,
and
thanks
I'm
from
extremely sorry for my limitation. I
no
apologize for
problem.
everything that I've written.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Just thank you so much, sir, from our entire
Okay,
team. Thank you, sir.
okay.
Thank you. And to all our audience, thank you for staying with us. And do join us in our next lecture. And by Dr. Saurabh Pal from Department of Zoology, University of Calcutta. And do follow us in our Facebook page, and all our previous lectures are archived in our YouTube channel. So till then, stay safe and bye.
Okay.
Bye, sir. Have a nice day.
Okay.